Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo. This is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events in the Pacific Northwest, many online, and today is our online panel. We have 7 practitioners on the panel tonight. Each panel has a theme. Tonight's theme are the 5th and 7th houses of relationships, all of them. So we're talking about all different kinds of relationships with others, with yourself, with your inner children, just all kinds of different things today. We typically do some panels on the theme of relationship as we approach this time of the year. So we have a couple different panels, and this is the one broadly on all kinds of different topics. We will be introducing ourselves and then talking about the theme a bit, and we're happy to answer questions. They might be on the theme of the panel, and they could be on other topics as well. It's sliding scale to ask a question of the panel. There's information in the chat. You can pay by PayPal or Venmo. And I'll also get the Humanitix link so you can pay directly on Humanitix if you like. I'm not sure if anyone signed up to ask a question yet. I'm going to go check while we're doing our introductions. So let's see. How about if we go in similar order before? Let's have switched up a little bit. So we'll have Crystal and Anissa, and then Dovelight. You tell me when you can jump in if you want to go sooner to get in, or if you want to go a little bit later. And then we'll have Alina and Ayla and Marita, and we'll just let Devlin jump in whenever she can. She's got some multitasking going on right now. All right, and so practitioners, go ahead and take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself and tell us about all that you do. I'll continue to put your information in the chat. You can feel free to add something else if you want to add more. And yeah, just thrilled to be all together. All right, Crystal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader. I'm also a conscious channel, and I also do energy work. And in addition to that, I also do coaching and mentoring. The kind of work that I do mostly with clients, it can be just about anything. It could be soul retrieval. It could be looking at contracts. It could be going to the Akashic records and looking at things, looking at stuff from your lineage on your mother's or father's side that's impacting you in this lifetime, looking at patterns that you've got in your consciousness. And some of that can also be from this lifetime if you suffered some, especially childhood trauma. Um, so uh, do that level of work. I'm also an astrologer. That was actually the first thing that I really found that worked for me when I first discovered it. Um, I just went right down the rabbit hole. It's like, wow, okay, this makes so much sense to me. And so I really um, went after it and studied it and found it to be very helpful in helping me understand myself better. So I feel like I've got a couple of different ways to come at things this evening. And I hope that you'll join us um, and ask questions. That would be great. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Crystal. And Devlin, yeah, just let us know whenever it works for you, and then we'll go to Anissa.
Hello, lovely beings. I'm Anissa Jade, and I'm an intuitive imagery reader. And what I mean by that is that I connect to your energy, and then I start to receive images, and then I provide meanings to those images for you. It's really can be an interactive and very creative space to be in. I also do animal communication, where I connect to your pets or your animals' energy, send them love, light, and gratitude, connect, and also receive images, but feelings, sensations, and knowings as well. My website is anissajade.com, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. I started back in 2019 with animal communication classes, and then have had several different mentors and experiences with MeWe growing and developing my intuition and abilities. And I'm so very fortunate to be here tonight. So I really look forward to seeing what happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anissa. All right, I think next we said is Alina.
Hi, my name is Alina, and I am a certified crystal healer, an astrological oracle reader, a horary astrologer, and a neurographics coach. And today I am offering the readings using an astrological oracle called Symbolon to take a look at your relationships and any relationships and see what's going on there, what the warnings are, what the cornerstones are, and what the prospects would be. The Symbolon is absolutely wonderful for any relationship readings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I think maybe, yeah, Dovelight, just let us know if you're ready. You can jump in. Maybe Dovelight is coming. We can't tell.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
hello. My name is Dovelight from DovelighToracle.com. I'm just a regular person. Like, for example, today was a regular situation when I was supposed to regularly babysit my nephew, and regularly they got stuck in traffic. And but I have to do a panel today. You see? But I'm very grateful to be here. You can find me by any Google search. You can put at dovelightoracle.com. I'm a very intuitive person. I do love doing readings. And sometimes I can feel like read and hear. I don't know how to call it, but what I understand is that we all are very intuitive people. We all have the ability to do this because of the way that I wanted to heal my own journey, my own path. I went through the ancestral healing, shamanic healing, crystal stone, angelic work, hypnosis, past life, etc., etc. I didn't know one day I will be able to offer it to others. It was more like to me to get to heal, but eventually it is not only a service that I offer for whoever feels called to work with me, especially the readings, which I love because it brings divine insight and the angelic realm, but also because I understand that by giving we receive, and by receiving we're giving, and that is a basic for all type of relationships. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dovelight. All right, next we have Ayla and then Marita.
Hi, I'm Ayla with Illuminated Path Tarot and Oracle. And I do a mix of a lot of things. I do tarot readings, oracle cards. I'm not doing those today, but I also do, I'm also a coach. And a lot of my coaching work brings in many different modalities. One of them, visualization. Visualization is something I work in a lot. My work isn't specifically around love and relationships, but it's something that I have done a lot of work in. It's something that is a part of everything that we do, of course, as humans. And I've had some really great results with people. For example, I had one woman who came to me and could not find a relationship. She wasn't spending money on all kinds of different things to find relationships, and was in some program that she paid tons of money for, and all kinds of stuff she'd been doing for about 10 years and sabotaging her relationships. And we did 3 sessions, and the end of that session, she actually met the person she's still with today. One of her goals was to have kids. She has a daughter now. So that's been years now. And I had another thing where something I didn't even think, again, wasn't even possible to do, but I actually there was a girl who her boyfriend was going to break up with her. And I actually did a session before they met. He did not break up with her. He later said that he was actually meaning to break up with her. And I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, but generally when you've decided to break up with someone, no one's going to talk about it. So we shifted things for her. So those are just a few things that I'm really proud of in the realm of love and relationships. And um, that is me. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you, Lorelai, for inviting me to this space and for everything else you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, and we are joined by Marita. It's her very first time joining us in a MeWe event. We're thrilled to have you here. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Marita. I also go by Marita Siren, and I am a Vedic astrologer. I started formally studying in 2022, but did quite a bit of self-study prior to that, Western, and then moved over to the Vedic astrology system. And I would consider myself a generalist. I just pretty much offer readings of all different kinds, but the aim of my practice is to provide illuminating knowledge, for higher knowledge of self, for relationships, for big moments in life, because astrology is a good oracle for that as well. And so the main purpose is to just illuminate and also help people deal with difficult karma. So I would say that's the one thing that might be unique between Western and Eastern astrology. There's quite a bit of orientation around karma, good and bad. And so I just aim to help people understand their karma and how to deal with afflictions or difficult karma.
Great, thanks so much. And I'm Lorelai Shamayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader. body psychology coach, and a matchmaker. So I read your eyes, primarily read your eyes, and I also read your body. So the language as you talk, the way you are in photos. I listen to all sorts of subtle things in between your words as you share. There's so much that I pick up on. And your eyes. Your eyes are the window to your soul. They're also the window to your soulmates. I use the information that I perceive in your eyes to help you better understand yourself, love yourself, grow through lessons, and understand anyone that's in your life or find people that you'd like to have in your life. So I use it for hiring interviews. So I help people better understand how to change their resume to share their soul on their resume, regardless of what work you've been doing. You've been showing up the whole time. So how to get you there so that you can get a job that's on alignment with your life purpose. I help people understand relationships that they're already in, see your eyes and their eyes. Lots of things I can say about what I predict might be really easy and what might be challenging. And I have ideas of what you can do about it. And I love to help people find soulmates. I believe that soulmates are people with similar souls, similar eyes. Most of us, however, are choosing partners from our wounding. So if we judge ourselves harshly, we don't like our soul. We don't like souls that are similar. So we avoid all the people that are like us and we tend to go for opposites. And that's why we have the story opposites attract. That's my belief as to why. And then if our little kids are still yearning to get love and attention from a parental figure from childhood, we end up choosing people like that too, where we're still attempting to get the love from them. And the more we grow to love ourselves, the more open we are to see other people like us, to see our soulmates. So it's a journey of like better relationships that help us grow and growing us so that we can see better relationships, and it's back and forth. So my aim is to have people choose relationships that really help them on their growth journey, that are fulfilling and joyful for whatever it is you're wanting, romance or business or all kinds of different things. And yeah, that's what I do. And I'm excited to talk about relationships. It's one of my favorite times of year with all these conversations. I have a dating coaching and matchmaking drop-in group that happens throughout the year. I think I'm on like my third year or something like that. Just love to support people on their journey. It's just a great way to grow and a great way to have find a fulfilling relationship that you enjoy. And working together with others in community is a great way to go about it. All right. Well, let's see. So I guess we did a little bit of a mix, sort of talking about the theme and talking about ourselves. Just first, is there anyone that has anything else about yourself that you want to share? And then we'll jump into specifically talk more about the theme. Okay, well, let's talk about the theme. So we can just go in a similar order at first. If you don't have something else to share, that's fine. We'll just move on for now. But yeah, just talk a little bit about the theme. So it starts off as the fifth and the seventh houses of relationships, because I think, and I'm not an astrologer, and the fifth and seventh houses cover just about all the relationships that we're in. And so that's what we meant, just as like all kinds of different relationships. So that's where that began. And maybe I'll just say from the just a little bit of research I did. Now, if I can just remember some of the other things you've all said. The fifth house is like the beginning of a romantic relationship, the honeymoon phase and the flirtatious phase before we've decided if we're really going to have a partnership and a relationship together. And then our kids, our own inner child, our inner children, our parts, and then self-expression evidently is there. And then the seventh house are deeper, more committed relationships. So it could be in business or other partnerships in life, close friendships, romantic relationships, and also the relationships that are very challenging in our lives. It's really kind of like those sticky relationships, good, sticky, challenging, sticky, all the different things about that. Again, yeah, so just a bit of the opening. So it can be looking at relationships that have challenges, looking at relationships that we want and what blocks might be in the way, just all kinds of different things. All right. And I guess I've been multitasking, so I haven't listened to everything. And I just want to mention, Marita, are you using your cards tonight? And did you tell people about your cards? Are you? Oh, and yes,
Oh,
and if you want to ask a question, we need some birth chart information. But yeah, go
yes.
ahead.
Yes, I do have cards, but because we're focused on the fifth and seventh house, I guess I would only be able to use like maybe the planets, and we could see like maybe how signs or planets relate. But yeah, I also want to see how the format for that works too.
Yeah, it's playing with things. But I guess so. Let's see, who would want birth date information of the panelists? Who would want birth date, time, location kind of stuff information for people if you're answering a question? Okay, Marita does. Anyone else? Or just Marita? Okay, great. So if you're going to want to ask a question of the panel, make sure that you send either me or Marita the information. I'll get it to Marita so that we can include that in the way we answer, the way she answers tonight. All right. Well, yeah, let's talk about the theme. So practitioners, we can start with you, Crystal. But just anything else you want to share about the theme of all relationships tonight?
Well, briefly touching on the fifth and the seventh houses, it'll depend on what sign starts your fifth house and what sign starts your seventh house. And also if there's any planets in those houses. And then if you dig even deeper, are those planets making mathematical relations? They make mathematical relationships to each other. And then by those mathematical relationships, it shows how the energy that flows between those connections is either a dynamic or stressful, or it's a more flowing, like a trine, that type of thing. And when you look at those aspects, then you can also see karmic stuff there as well, because I believe your birth chart is like a blueprint of what you are here to do this go around. And it shows the potential that exists for you to clear and do different things. And it also shows the work that you'll probably, especially the more stressful ones, that you'll be working on for most of your lifetime. And as children, the older we get, the more growth opportunities we get to understand those mathematical relationships and begin to act as the referee, so you can kind of make those planetary relationships balance out more, or be more aware of how they get impacted, so that you're not being pushed by it. You're more in the observer place where you can coach and help those relationships be smoother. Our relationships, I mean, that's you can spend a lifetime talking about a relationship. I mean, that's huge, right? But mostly relationships gives us opportunities to grow, to me. Our external reality is a reflection of our internal reality. So when we are in a relationship, whether it's more transactional, if it's more personal, if it's more intimate, then we are showing up in different places as well. And as Lorelei mentioned, if you've got some deep wounding, then you might not be as detached about how you're moving towards a relationship, and instead being driven by that wounding, and either to protect yourself or to find someone that will heal you, or try to help heal you. So the more conscious we are, the cleaner our relationships are. So awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nissa, something you want to add?
I'll be humble in that I don't have astrology experience, so I can't speak directly to that. But I can share that with intuitive imagery, it offers fresh perspectives on things. It helps you gain clarity, helps on your personal journey of personal growth, and maybe seeing something in a new light, that fresh perspective. And the images are powerful in that you also can interpret what they mean for you, as well as the image of the meanings that I provide. We can collaborate and work together. And so just like in a relationship, there's collaboration and working together, we'll form a little mini relationship as we answer questions tonight. And I just want to share that I'm embarking on my new dating journey. So if anyone else wants to share or commiserate, I'm here to also be a supportive in that space as well, going through that as we speak. Sorry, I should have written down more of what I wanted to say. I'm kind of all over the place, but I appreciate being here, and I look forward to uncovering more about relationships, the many different ones that we can have.
That's great. It's great. As I think of you and I know your journey, like sometimes friendships have been super important to you in your life. So sometimes when romantic relationships aren't the thing there, like friendships have been so important. So yeah, just all these things that we're covering tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah. Dovelight, whenever you want to jump in, go ahead. And then yeah, feel
The
free.
background
We
is too
oh,
loud.
Dovelight, go ahead. We're
Is
just
it
talking about the theme more.
is the background sound too loud or no?
No, it's okay. It's okay right now. Go ahead.
Okay, good. I I truly would like to honor that we do have different levels of feeling or attachment or honoring and giving your heart. So, for example, in my case, when I was younger, I saw a lot of that examples, people stalking, cheating, things that were so negative that to me became more practical. To as soon as I saw a red flag or something that was not proper, to be more practical and be like, no, this is not good for me. I don't want to get involved in this. So, in a way, I felt like it wasn't until I actually connect with somebody on a soul level that I was able to understand that it is not sometimes that people don't have common sense, that they don't have logic, that of course you have to love yourself. It's because loving someone or attaching emotional, even speaking to someone, it's something really deep. And even though one of the highest lessons is to love yourself, to learn to know what you want or not, I want to honor that you can truly love somebody. You can truly feel attached. You want truly feel to want a situation to be better if it's costing you your life, if it's costing you your future, if it's costing you your health, if it's costing you, I don't know, the peace of mind, then reevaluate because it is true that you can truly love somebody, but that doesn't mean that that somebody, that person, the situation, the relationship with a job, with a partner, romantic, it's the healthiest for you. So it can both happen at the same time. You can truly love somebody, and it doesn't mean that it's the most compatible or the most healthy. So you can honor both in a way that nobody's bypassing your feelings or you felt, but you also have to put your feet on the ground and say, this is the healthy for me. Is this is a way I want to live my life? Is I just want to honor that about relationships.
Thank you. Right, yeah, Ayla or Rita or Lena.
Here you go. So what occurred to me with what Dove shared is just to share that love should be a contribution, not a detriment. And I think that's a good kind of way to assess. And I think that when I've met people who had kind of hadn't dated in a very, very long time, oftentimes it's because they felt that the relationships they were attracting were detrimental to them, were taking more. But love, the possibility of love, the potential of love, and I guess I want to address the other thing that I've seen a lot of is where people think that they have to be perfect. They have to somehow, be evolved or have worked through a million things in order to be in a relationship. And that's not true either. We are all messy. And ideally, we want to find a relationship where we can both be honoring each other's growth and evolve together. And yeah, and with that, I think that I was going to say, besides that, would be valuable. And I guess just the other thing that just occurs to me too is that is sustaining love. That's just the third thing I'm going to talk about with sustaining love. So with sustaining love, I think one of the most important things is to continue, never stop getting to know the other person. Because I think that this is just stuff that I'm thinking about. So it's not necessarily related to anything that I do, but these are just some of my belief systems. It's just that a lot of times the more we get to know people, and this includes not just romantic, but everyone in your life, the more you think you know someone, the less you bother to get to know them anymore. And that's one of the reasons that our relationships across the board don't get to be as deep as they could be. And I know one thing that Lorelei does, and I've taught before as well, is authentic relating. And that's one of the things that really can help people to engage more deeply. Most of the time in the world, we're not engaging deeply with people. We're not really connecting. And there's a huge loss of connection and among people. And one of the ways you can start to connect with anyone in your life is to come at them with beginner's mind, get curious, ask them questions you never asked them. And it's a way to also sustain a relationship. Keep getting to know the person. Don't think you already know them. We in the beginning of a relationship, we ask people all these questions. We're so curious. And then we get to this point very quickly where we think we know them. And then we stop trying to get to know them anymore. And it's a shame, because that's where I think, we lose a lot, and we lose so much. And I actually had told this to someone I was coaching recently, a young coach, and I had, he was just starting out, and I said, look, he actually was, a friend of mine was mentoring him, and I offered to mentor a little too. And one of the things I told him, I said, for practice, I said, just start asking people curious questions, just anyone in your life, just start asking them questions, ask them about their dreams, ask them about, different things. And he actually ended up asking his grandparents stuff. And it ended up being this beautiful experience, because he found out all these things about his grandparents he never knew. And they got to share things, and they got to feel like human beings again, who actually have stories to tell. So, I mean, I think that's just something I want to share, that we underestimate how powerful every single relationship our life can be when we just put forth a little more effort and have interactions rather than just transactional communication.
Yeah, that's great. Ask questions and be willing to be vulnerable. And I like the idea of exploring dreams, right? Things that we don't often talk about. People we're not already as connected with us so well, so deeply. But yeah, Alina or Marita, something you want to share? Anything else on the theme?
For about 2 years, from 2021 to 2023, I was serving on the board of Astrological Society of Kentucky. And this is kind of where I learned most of the things. It's from just a group of very seasoned astrologers. They go deep into a lot of topics that I was like, okay, English doc, but they also had a lecture once on the seventh house. And one of them was going through each sign where the seventh house cusp is, and what it tells you about how you approach your relationships, what kind of people you're attracted to. And I came up to her after the lecture and I said, my seventh house cusp is in Aquarius. And she said, you seem to like unusual people. I do. Unusual people are attractive, okay? They're very outside the box. They push the envelope. I love that. I came home and took a very good long look at my husband. And that's when I thought, yes, I did indeed get attracted to a very unusual person. My husband defies every expectation out there, and that's what got me attracted to him in the first place. He's just different. He's not like anyone else I've met before, and that was my first revelation. I have a seventh house in Aquarius. And then later on, we were talking about somebody else in the group, and that same woman said, oh, he has Pluto in his seventh house. And I said, oh, okay, say no more. We knew what it was. Pluto is a transformational planet. It transforms very slowly and very painfully. And when it's in your seventh house, it's going to transform your relationships slowly and painfully. Congratulations, you're going to have to live with that. So that was interesting to see like different things that affect that seventh house. And the reason I'm talking about seventh mostly is because, I am kind of over the dating phase with my husband. We've known each other for 22 years. So it's getting a truck. But the fifth house for me is more like talking about my child, my daughter. That's where my fifth house mostly is. And I look at my fifth, and my fifth. So my seventh is in Aquarius. My fifth is in Sagittarius, and I guess I like firecracker children. I like the ones who will like, hey, let's have a good time. Let's travel. Let's just throw some things in the suitcase and go. This is not my child. Um, and this is not like, this is what I expect of her, and this is not what she's giving me. So we're just kind of finding a balance between me wanting her to be more adventurous and her wanting me to be more grounded and predictable, I guess. Um, but Astrological Society of Kentucky has taught me a few things while I was on the board, and it was interesting to see, the comments about, oh, he has Pluto in his seventh, and everybody knows what she's talking about. So yeah, that was a cool stuff about that.
And I know just as you talk about some of the astrology, like I'm an example of someone that I need a little translation sometimes. So I'm getting the fifth and the seventh houses, but sometimes as you, I'll make references to certain planets or any other houses or anything like that. Or I just so yeah, it might be other people too.
Just ask. Just ask. If you don't know
Okay,
what Pluto means, just ask what the heck is Pluto.
Sure,
We'll
say,
do the
what's
best
Pluto
we
about?
can to just put it into plain English. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so anyone in the audience, if you have a basic question like that about something that comes up, please let us know in the chat and we'll do our best to answer. Can you say, like, what is Pluto? I know I have deep connection with Pluto, but
Pluto, dwarf planet. For some time, it wasn't even considered a planet because it acts differently. But Pluto takes about 15 to 20 years to get through one sign. So it takes approximately 250 something years to go around. And yeah, it's slow and it's small and it transforms. It brings a lot of changes, but very gradually. It's not a firecracker. Let's just put it this way. I think the slowest, if not one of the slowest, maybe the slowest planet we commonly use in astrology. Yeah.
I just tease. It was one of my nicknames when I was a kid. Right, and Crystal, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, it is the slowest because it's the farthest out, and it does take about 250 years. And that thing that's interesting, well, I'll get to that in a second. But to me, Pluto's about death and transformation. It's about power, and how we use our power. And if you've got Pluto in the seventh house, then your relationships are mostly about power dynamics, and deep passion. Death and transformation doesn't mean that you literally die. It means that energy can be transmuted and transformed. So Pluto gives us the ability to transform deeply at a soul level, and rebirth ourselves into a more authentic version of who we are. Once you get past Mars and you get out into the outer planets, they move more slowly and they have a more greater karmic impact on our lives and what we do. The other thing you do is you can cast a birth chart for a nation. The United States, we are having a Pluto return. And what that means is Pluto has gone around and it's come back to its starting point for the United States. And the United States is going through death and transformation. What no longer serves? What is out of alignment with what America is? How are we redefining what America is? And it's going to be impacting us for quite some time, as Alina said, because it takes a long time for it to move because it's so far away from us. The outer planets also influence generations. If you look at boomers or millennials or Gen Xers or whatever, if you look at the placement of some of the outer planets, you will see whole generations have a different experience than the generations that came before them because they are impacted in a different way from whatever's going on with those planets for that group of people. There's just so many different insights you can get from just studying astrology. It takes time because there's a lot to learn, but once you get the hang of it, you can go all over the place and learn all kinds of stuff. So, um, yeah.
Great, great. And just, by the way, just as we're going around, I want to remind everyone in the audience. So there's a panel, so it means that it's free to be here. And we would love it if you would support us by asking a question. It's totally optional to ask a question. There is a fee for asking a question, and chances are all of us will have something to reply. It is $20, $24, $28 to ask a question, or $12 for BIPOC folks as a step of making reparations. The information on how to pay is in the chat. We do ask if you would pay first before you ask the question. And yeah, if you're wanting to ask a question, just let me know and I'll facilitate that. A bunch of easy ways to pay. And yeah, back to the topic of relationships. And the question does not have to be on relationships. Great if it is, does not have to be. We're open to anything. And Marita, I just had the sense you were about to say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. In terms of like fifth and seventh house, if I'm looking at the fifth house, that's definitely going to be where I look to determine love like relationships. So romance, pleasure, relationships that you find a lot of enjoyment. The seventh house does not necessarily indicate that. But if the two get combined, for instance, if your seventh house ruler is in the fifth, then it does bring those two things together. So there's some caveats there. Also, fifth house could represent your relationship with your children, right? Because the fifth house is creative expression. It's things that you create, particularly that materialize outside of yourself, like art and children. So, a big indicator of the fifth house is your relationship with children. And then you'll also, in Vedic, you would look at the fifth from the moon. So there's a special system we use called Bhavat Bhavam, where the moon is the ascendant, and you will look at the fifth place from the moon. That is like the fifth house. So that has the same meaning as the actual fifth house. And then the seventh house, that's going to be the main indicator for spouse, husband, wife, or spouse. That's where you can look for marriage potential and evaluating marriage. Also, as others have mentioned, it's one-on-one relationships of all kinds. So, really primary business partnerships, any kind of contract. So things that also represent commitment, where you get contractually involved with another person. And then I think someone also said opponents. I always think that the seventh house is like an arch enemy. So I always think of it like, when you have this kind of primary duel with one person, because it's also one-on-one. So I think of arch enemies as seventh house too. So that's kind of what I'd say about the two houses. And then in general, like I said, it can extend far beyond that. If planets go in those houses, or if those houses get connected with other houses, if the 11th, for instance, 11th Lord or 5th Lord get combined, then you're talking about relationships with friends, your social network, right? Your community, and you find people of a certain type that are in your social circle, that maybe they're creative, maybe you have more artists as friends because the 5th and the 11th get combined. So there's all sorts of ways to look at relationships. It just all depends on the chart. But yeah, it's kind of just an overview.
Great. And then I'm going to invite to one thing that we have done, if we don't have questions coming in from the audience, is any of us on the panel can also ask a question that we can answer. So, for example, if Rita's interested, if you're willing, we could pull up one of our charts and talk about some things. So all kinds of stuff can happen.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, feel free if anyone else on the panel wants to share something else about the theme, and we totally can ask questions ourselves. I know I've had my chart done a few times, but it's been such a foreign language, I haven't really understood much of it. But I've been around this now enough, and just listening to you all talk about it tonight, and like it's starting to slowly get in. So I've had a chart done with my partner. I had a chart done with another partner once long ago, a Vedic chart, and it was the first time that a practitioner had ever done how'd this work? my partner was a trans woman, and so she did a new birth chart for her surgery date too. So the first time she was looking at that for someone that was way, way, way back in like the early 2000s, and yeah,
Mm.
just all kinds of different things we can do with astrology.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
There is an astrological ritual called solar return, and basically, when sun goes back to the same degree, minute, and second that it was where it was when you were born, it is possible to build a chart like that. I build mine online every year to just kind of take a look at what's going on in there. And there is a 12-day ritual that starts on the day, well, the day before your solar return is like a day zero, and then day one is the day of solar return, and then 12 days after, going by each house. So first day is the first house, second day is the second house, third day is the third house, and so on. And so I was talking about the solar return to again another astrologer from Astrological Society of Kentucky, and he asked me, um, I mean, I know that typically you would start with the first house, but what if my son is in, say, the seventh? Can I start at the seventh day and go around like that and go back to the first house and end at the sixth day? And I said, well, that is the next level astrological nerd. And I love it. And if you want to do it like that, I will not stop you. Okay. That has never occurred to me.
That's great. Crystal.
So I just want to give like a little baby step into understanding maybe more of what we're talking about, right? So typically we think of our solar system that all the planets revolve around the sun. But since we're incarnate on the Earth, we are actually looking at how all those planets are interacting with the Earth. And so we're looking at it from that viewpoint. So then the next step would be, imagine you're looking down on our solar system like a big circle, and you scoop everything out. And what's left is like a pizza with 12 slices. And each slice represents an astrological sign. So it starts with Aries, and it goes all the way around, and each slice is the next sign until you come back to Pisces, and then it starts over again in Aries. Okay, now you take all our planets, smack them back down in there, and now you know at all these different slices in the sky always stay the same. The planets continue to move through those slices.
Just did you say Pisces and Aries because of the day it is today, or
No, I'm just
how did
saying
you
that
choose those signs?
I'm just saying the first sign that starts the whole 12 signs is
Okay.
Aries, and then the last one is Pisces.
Okay.
So like I just said, the planets continue to move always across those grids. Then the next step for that would be, how does that impact us on the Earth? And if you go to get your birth chart done, they always ask you the time you were born and where you were born and your birth date. And the time is important because the Earth rotates and it takes 24 hours. So every 2 hours, the Earth is looking at a different pizza slice. So the time you were born determines where the Earth was facing and what sign it was facing, and that begins your natal chart. It's called your rising sign because that's what was on the horizon when the Earth was facing it. You also hear it called your ascendant, which that's what was ascending at the time. So that's why people want to know that information if you go to get your natal chart done. That's my little baby step astrology thing.
Great, great. I have a question I want to ask of you, Ayla, and let's see. I got some chat I gotta look at in a moment. Um, so I know that you do some leadership work, and I'm wondering how much you use all these modalities explicitly in your leadership work and how much you use it behind the scenes. And like, do you end up looking up some of this information or do information on clients? And like, how does it affect your relationship and the way you work with them and like teams? And just, yeah, if you could speak a little of that, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it all depends what I'm doing. If I'm working with someone for a while and I find that they're open to certain things, then we may bring those things into the practice. In my own work, I mean, I use tarot first of all as just a way to, it's kind of a way not to ruminate. So I use it kind of my own, when I have a question rather than, I think it's a really powerful tool for that instead of, sitting there trying to figure things out and things like that. I think you can, if you trust the tarot, you can't keep doing it. You can't keep going and trying to get the right answer. But if you trust it and you use it and you can use that information to give you some guidance, and then, I never, think that what comes up is how it is. Like I don't believe that that's just how it is. So that's what can I do with that now? Now that gives me a path forward. And so that's really valuable there. As far as my other work, I would say I do a lot of things in the background. Like there are a lot of things that I build into stuff that nobody knows about. Like when I build a transformational course, a lot of times I'm looking at things like this isn't exactly that, but I look at a million things that people have no idea. I mean, I think way too much, but I look at alchemy, and when I build something transformational, I will actually design it in some form that's known to work. So I'll look at something like alchemy and if I build something that's transformational, I'll build it through the process of alchemy. I'll actually use the parts so that it becomes transformational. I'll do that. Sometimes I use narratives like narrative structures and things like that behind the scenes in the work I do. So a lot of stuff isn't front end. But the other thing I try to do, because I learned things from all different sources. And so what I try to do is I'm really passionate about bringing things to people that they would never get because they're not open to that kind of thing. And what I do is I'll present it in a way that's palpable to them. So I will find words or ways to frame things that, because I also do, I'm also very into things like law of assumption. I love Neville Goddard's work, stuff like that. So, take something like that, take something where he has like one of his kind of unusual concepts is something like he calls it revision, which is basically in psychology, something comparable to that would be I think it's called memory consolidation or something like that. But the thing is that before I even knew what that was, I was doing that already. I was having people actually go back, and actually the one person I mentioned in the beginning who changed like her whole thing with relationships and ended up getting married, like marrying this guy and having a child with him after like 3 sessions with me. What we actually did was we went back to her childhood and we revised that. It wasn't using his teachings necessarily, but basically what I did was we went back and we reevaluated the memories from an adult perspective. And we actually realized the beliefs weren't even true and changed the beliefs. And there's just so much cool stuff you can do. But all the stuff I learned gets integrated because that's one of the things that I feel like is one of my talents, not to be conceited, but is connecting things. So I can see something over here that has nothing to do with something over here, and then I figure out how it's all connected, and then I can do those things in my work. And depending on my audience, I can put things together in a way that's going to be presentable to them. Not everybody's metaphysical, not everybody, everybody's got different kind of backgrounds. But I guess the solid answer, the easy answer is yes. I do bring this stuff in, but I do it in very creative ways.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, that's a nice, interesting answer. All right. Well, I know that we have someone on the panel that actually wants to ask a question and wants to ask a deeper question. So we'll get to do the full swing on that. So that's in process. And it looks like Devlight popped off. So I'm checking to see if Devlight's able to make it back on. And yeah, so, and don't worry about all the logistics of it. Just send all the information like you're doing right now, and then we'll do with all the back end stuff and payment and all that later. Yeah, and are you ready to talk about it, or did you want to find more things and send more things over?
I'm ready to ask my question, I think, my rambling question. Um, And then, so I sent my information to Marita. If anyone else needs anything, let me know. Um, so like I said, I'm starting to date again, and I've been on a few dates with somebody, and then that kind of fizzled out. And then I tried to date with somebody else, and that kind of fizzled out. So like a lot, I don't know if that's just how it goes, where you just get ghosted. Maybe that's just how it goes now. So I'm just curious, like, am I astrologically in a good space to be dating? I just had an amazing conversation with someone right before this panel who I met on um a dating website, and like I normally would never feel comfortable to like give my phone number, but I did, and like we had an amazing conversation. So like, am I in the right time? Like, is this possibly going to be moving forward, or um should I focus more on myself? Like, what does that make sense?
You kind of want general insight about what's going on. You have some general questions about what dating is like at this time, and then what's happening
Yeah,
for you in this
yeah.
area. All right, great, great. And we did have someone else pay to ask a question. So
Oh,
thanks so much, someone else for doing that too. Okay, great. All right, so practitioners, so we all have about 3-ish minutes. We haven't had a flood of questions, so you can take a little bit longer if you want um, to answer Anissa's question. And we'll just go in whatever order people are ready. And I'll probably just swirl my phone on here if you're going past your like 3.5 minutes, just so you know to finish up. Uh, yeah, so and the photo that could you just clarify the photo that you sent me?
yeah.
I
That's
remember the eyes a
the
little bit,
person
but yeah, give me context again.
that's the person I talked to today. Their name is Dan.
But you sent me a photo of the person previously, right? The person looks familiar. Ooh, the person feels so familiar. Okay. Well, maybe I can just jump in and share a little bit, unless someone else is ready to go. Right, I'm just gonna go a little bit. So you asked about ghosting and like, is that kind of what happens now? And unfortunately, it seems like it's very common that people start to connect. It's not quite right for someone, or they're distracted, or they're more interested in someone else at that moment, and they often just float away. And
Okay.
that is unfortunately is very common. So part of it is like there are just so many people sometimes that it's kind of dizzying just to track that all and to remember to go back. And it's just what people do. They don't we don't have the formal culture of closing things up anymore. Some people do, but a lot of people don't. And so it's just to do your best to not be offended and
Oh
just
yeah,
trust
I
people
just
taking
was
care of
like,
themselves.
oh, we met in person so many times, and then all of a sudden nothing. And I was just like, am I supposed to say something now? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
So sometimes what I'd recommend is if again just texting or chatting on a site or whatever it is, you can just say something like something like I enjoyed connecting and I'm available. We want to
Okay.
connect again. Is you just let them know you're there, but don't like specifically go out and engage, like just let them know you're available. So you can see if they want to step in. And then the person, well, let's see. So you and I have talked before, your talents are creativity, inspiration, and knowledge in that order. And I think that when someone has inspiration, it's really great if there was someone else that feels feelings or emotions deeply. Inspiration, second, tends to be harder on themselves. So I just want you to be careful choosing someone that has strong opinions outwards because you already have strong opinions inwards. So I think that the person that you sent me does have the inspiration talent and the knowledge talent. I think though I'm just a little, so in general, that's good that you have some things in common. I'm just a little nervous though, because that's only one photo at the moment, but I feel like a little bit of arrogance. And also, I think the inspiration is it's probably first where it goes outwards. And so the person just looks like they might have strong opinions outwards. And I do totally feel an arrogance thing that I'd have to see more photos, but I'm worried about whether they own their part in things. And so the kind of conversation to have with someone like this is to ask them about past relationships. Like, what happened in your past relationships? Like, how did they end? What did you learn from them? And get them into that kind of dialogue and see if they're endlessly blaming the other people or if they own their stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just watch, they might have strong opinions in general, even if they can own their stuff. So just to be aware, be aware.
Okay.
All right. There you go. All right. And I think Alina's got her hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, so I pulled three different cards, and that was interesting. As you were talking, it's almost as if they were listening. because this is Dreaming Johnny, and when it comes to relationships, you just kind of go. You don't even look under your feet. You're just going, you know. You look up and you may fall or you may not fall. It depends. But in the beginning, you kind of don't really care. You just go. Okay. There's too many squirrels around, and there's squirrel, 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 squirrel. I don't know what's under my feet. Okay. And then you get hurt. Okay. This is affliction. You still keep moving, you still keep going, but now it's kind of slow, and you feel crippled, and you need crutches. All right. The third card was interesting because this is called incompatibility. And it's a little graphic, I know that. When it comes to relationships, this is the card that says that you are like almost a polar opposite to the person. Okay. The I know that the name incompatibility sometimes sounds like, do you mean we're incompatible? Not necessarily, you're still holding hands, but you're different. And it's hard to find that balance. You want to hold on to each other. Like I said, they're holding hands, but one is sun, one is moon, one is day, one is night, and it is really hard to find that middle ground between the two, that tree that grows in between them. Okay. So Mars is retrograde, if that helps in any way right now. And if
Sorry, which one is
after
retrograde? Which one is retrograde?
Mars,
And what
Mars.
is Mars? What does Mars mean?
Action, aggression, passion, quick action. Like, I'm not thinking, I'm doing, and then I'm thinking, maybe. That's Mars doesn't like being retrograde. It's like very uncomfortable in there. And I don't know how about you, but I am very affected by it all the time, every time.
Just
I hate
retrograde?
Mars
What does
retrograde.
it mean that it's retrograde? I'm just so those of us that haven't
Retrograde means
been.
that from here on Earth, it never moves backwards. Okay, planets don't go backwards, but from here it looks like it goes backwards from our vantage point. And everybody likes like blaming Mercury retrograde for everything. Yeah, it ain't bad. Mars is much worse. If you ask me. But if after February 24th or so, you see that things are different, it may have affected it, because I don't see your chart. I don't know where it falls for you in particular. But it's in my 12th house, and I'm not having a spiritually very good time. So, but just kind of give it, maybe, I know it's long, another 3 weeks, and see if things shift, change for you, or you just feel different and stuff, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great,
Mhm.
thank you. And I see Crystal's got her hand up. And Devlight is back with us. I'll get Devlight back up here.
Hi, Anissa.
Hello.
One of the first things that was coming up is you are very nice and you don't like disappointing people. You like to see the good in people whenever possible. And you will give second chances. You need to make sure that those people have earned that lovely gift of your kindness and your big heart. So before you start handing out second chances and stuff, make sure that they've earned it. Are they walking their talk? Our actions will tell a way more than our words. In fact, our actions are a confession of the relationship we actually have within ourselves. So, yes. So how do our potential date people, how are they? How do they interact with the world around them? How are they kind to other people? Are they dismissive? How do they relate about themselves? Um, and this guy kind of feels like he's got a nice, friendly facade, like easygoing um, but I feel like when Lorelai started talking to him, like I was getting the same vibe. There's something underneath that. It kind of reminds me when you go fishing and you use a lure and you throw that out there and the fish thinks it's something real and so it bites on it. Um, so I would, if you want to keep seeing this individual, do like what Lorelai said, ask him to talk about himself and his past relationships and that kind of thing, and that'll give you a lot of information. Um, but also trust your gut. And sometimes you don't want to because it's like it's disappointing. It's like, no, I don't I want this to work. I want this to be what I want it to be. And your inner voice is going like, nope. And you're like, ah, really? Can't, I'll try again. I'll try again. And it's not you. It's not you. And one last thing I would encourage is make a list, of the people you've been with or dated and see if there's any common patterns that come up about any of them. And
Okay.
that'll give you some idea of stuff for you to work on so that you don't need to keep manifesting those patterns to clear them. See what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. And that'll give you a lot of insight, and that will, when you start working on that, that will shift your reality, because as you change it in here, it shifts out there. Yeah. And then somebody mentioned if I could repeat what I said about actions are blank to person's relationship with themselves. Actions are confessions of that person's relationship to themselves. We are constant. I mean, like I said, our external reality is a reflection of our internal reality. So whatever relationship you have internally, that's what you are taking out into the world, and that's you're reflecting it out into the world. When we change a pattern or change a belief, especially one that's a limiting or a false belief, then our internal reality shifts. And by one of the laws of Hermetic doctrine, or the laws of energy, it has to shift externally. That's just the way it works. So I hope to the person who wrote that answers your question. If it doesn't, oh, there you go. Okay, good. I'm glad it did. So, but anyways, Anissa, I don't want you to stop because you are ready. You've put it out to the universe that you want partner.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. All right. Okay, Ayla, I see your other hand. Great, go ahead.
So, first of all, I just want to clarify, Anissa, it felt like you were talking about more than one person. It felt like there was someone you went on a few dates with, and then there was a new person. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because the person you shared with Lorelai is the new person, right?
Is the new person. Yes.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that. So, so yeah, I don't really have a sense of, those two people. But I did want to share that, just some basic kinds of things. Like, I agree. I mean, you're such a lovely person, honestly. I mean, I've met you so many times in person, and just like every time I see you, you just can't help being happy. I mean, you're just that kind of person. So I think everybody probably agrees with me there. um, and wonderful and talented and everything like that. But I do agree that you probably do show up with wide open. I mean, I don't know, but I get the sense that because that's just the kind of person you are. And one of the things, when we're going into relationships are a little tricky because showing up wide open in some cases can be okay, but in general, when we're kind of stepping in with people we don't know who haven't really, and I think maybe this is what Crystal might have been saying too, is that, the person hasn't earned that yet. Vulnerability isn't something that just needs to be wide open with everybody. So what we want to do is we want to actually, what I'd suggest is just you can go out and date, and I think you can have wonderful experiences, but I would slow down. Like, just your emotion, like, just don't be wide open yet. Like, just slowly open. And I don't think I've said this yet, but a big thing with attraction is curiosity. Curiosity fuels attraction. So, we don't want to just tell everyone everything and be everything up front. We want to actually, give little bits of information. And like I said, I study all kinds of things like narrative structures. One thing that actually is interesting for people is an open loop. When there's an open loop, somebody wants to know things. So playing around, being a little playful and things like that. You don't have to do things in a strategic way where it's feels manipulative, but you can do things in a way that's playful and fun and, just not put everything out there immediately. And date more than one person. Try not to decide on someone until they've made it clear they've decided on you. That's something I'm still learning, but it's really important. So I would just say that. And as far as getting back to someone, I mean, I think if you haven't heard from someone from a few days, it can be, it's kind of up to you what you want to do. You can reach out, but if you reach out, just something subtle, like sometimes actually one relationship coach just said, because if sometimes you just have nothing to lose, and sometimes the other person is waiting for you. It does happen that way. So we don't know what that person's thinking. So one thing that one relationship coach taught me that you can always do is just say ...
Just bringing it up to the top so that they're, oh yeah, I don't.
It's just, but it's ellipse. It's like, is this to be continued? So it says a lot, and that's just those three little dots. But you're not putting yourself way out there. You're just saying, hey, is this gonna happen? So I think that, just something subtle. And the other thing I learned from this relationship coach that I think is really, really great is what we also want to do is we want to look at what people are giving us and not give, like if we had to look at, like if we had this, and you have to, when you're the kind of person who's really open and does put yourself out there, you do have to think a little more strategically. So one thing is, to look at, if this person gives a message to you, like what level is that message on? Is it like are they giving you like an 8 or a 9 or 10? Like how much are they giving you? What we don't want to do is if somebody's giving us a bunch of 3s, which a lot of people call like breadcrumbing, they're giving you those little pieces. We don't want to come back and give them 9s and 10s. Does that make sense? Like the level of energy and enthusiasm and everything, we want to kind of match where they're at. And if they're being a little evasive, we want to go even a little lower. So, here's the thing. The truth is that people oftentimes will jump in and then they pull back. It does happen. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to come after them when they're pulling back. We want to just kind of subtly get into our own stuff. And then like I said, you can always do the ellipsis, but you just do it at a low level and then see how they respond. So that's what I have to say. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this as a matchmaker, like the advice about matching and doing a little bit less is particularly for the people that tend to overdo and overhold.
Yes.
And so particularly for them.
Okay.
All right, great. And let's see. So in order, we had Dove Light up and Crystal, you already shared. Did you have something really quick you wanted to share? And then we'll do Dove Light.
Just real quick. Sometimes getting ghosted, you might look at it as rejection protection. Yeah. Just a
Okay.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like you. It's not right. Like, let them go away in an easy way.
When I used to bid jobs, if I didn't get the job, I just figured the divine was helping me dodge a bullet. It wasn't meant to be my job. If it was meant to be my job, then it would be my job. So,
Yeah.
So in other words, don't take it personal.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right,
I
great.
concur. That's all I'm saying. I concur.
Yep. We've got Dove Light up next.
So I read because my signal went in and out. Anissa asks in general for dating. It's not about a specific question.
So
If I got it right.
And this is open and dating again, and she's gone on some dates, and some people have ghosted her, and like, is that just normal now? And so just let's hear for her in the context of dating.
Oh,
She's
so
open to dating in her life,
asking
and
for a specific person. Okay, man, good. So I just want to make sure. See, because I can see a lot of people. There is a partner here of giving and receiving balance. A little bit about self-esteem, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you look about yourself. Also, you do have a stable heart. You do have a beautiful heart, but you also have a sensitivity. So sometimes you can feel other people's pain and become empathic, but it's almost like it comes so natural. They become almost like subconscious that in a way, I agree. If it doesn't resonate, let it go. When you feel like there's a chance of a connection or a relationship, there might be the type of, hey, let me open my heart to this person. Let me do the best he can. Let me have a good time. Let me wow, like a dream. But in reality, you always have to make sure it's balanced, like people are saying. In general, I can see that you're a person who can give a beautiful cup to others, but because opposites attract, there might be the possibility that other people might see it as this is easy catch, or let me see what I can get from this person, or let me see how much is she willing to give me. I can see both different, and I feel like in a way you will like to desire that kind of nature, like kind of lost, like kind of jaguar, that kind of what it's like to be in this type of relationship. But not because something is attracted, it doesn't mean that it's for our highest good. Like I resonate 1000% with Crystal. Sometimes the divine, your ancestors, your grandmother knows the possibility of being with somebody, and they might actually protect you by removing that person. And we might be thinking like, oh no, I'm not good enough, or they didn't reject me, or maybe I should have done this and done that. When a partner, man, woman wants you, it shows. They go for you. They when it's very simple. When somebody truly wants to be with you, want to get to know you, want to truly, really respectfully love you, it shows. There is no excuse. There is no excuse. When people need their time, or they are looking for something else, or people ghost you, or they are in like an open relationship, it's because they're choosing the right. That's what they want, but is it what you want? So please never feel bad because this type of relationship is not working, because in a way they're showing you, they're speaking to you by their actions. They don't care, or they're not that committed, or they're not interested. And it's better, trust me, this happen at least now. I don't want to say it's better or worse, but then when you have kids, or when you have a property together, or when you're signing a business together, because you don't want to get there. I can see that there is a possibility with dating that you truly have to work and gain on your values, to don't worry about how the relationship will go, how will this work out or no, will he like me or not, because in a way I feel like there is people who can sense into that, and they can manipulate it with words. So you have to be very careful who you truly open your heart and trust, because you are that beautiful soul sensitive. I definitely can see love coming your way, but there first like a sincere, healthy love. But before that, we need to reevaluate, because it's like an almost like an internal fight. I'm not saying that you're bad, because you have a beautiful mentality, you have a beautiful values, but it's almost like a subconscious not good enough, or will this work out, or why it's not coming me, it's never gonna be about me, who will love me. So it is true in both ways. When people say that they like us, when people say that they love us, we feel good. We feel good. So it is true that sometimes we do need that little push of people outside telling us how good we are, makes us feel good. But in the hard corners of the heart, it is about how we talk to ourselves, how much we love ourselves, how much we speak to ourselves. So both have their healing, but and to finish this off, trust your intuition. You will always notice. Trust. You will notice when somebody wants to do something good, healthy, or not. Situation will improve, but you will know. That's it. You will know when this somebody's worth your time and when somebody's not. In the meantime, please keep working on your inner belief, in romance to yourself. Go on a date with yourself, buy yourself flowers, go to a picnic, go dance, just do it, but bring the energy of romance, within yourself, and you're gonna attract. Okay, now
Thank you, Delight.
Great, thank you. I think we haven't heard from Alina and Marita, so either of you is ready, jump in, and then the other one will have a chance to share.
But I already talked about it.
Whichever of you wants to go.
think.
Okay, yeah, I can jump in. I can just share screen.
Oh, let me give you a,
Oh,
hold on a moment. All right, your co-host now, go ahead.
okay. Okay. So this is your Vedic chart, Anissa. There is two charts side by side. One is the D1, that's your Rashi chart or sign chart. And then we have what's called the D9 Navamsha chart. So that's what we use for second half of life or after someone has gotten married. A lot of astrologers will say after Saturn matures in the chart, which is age 36. So from 35 to 36, Saturn begins to mature. Some will say Rahu, which is more like 42. but I would say it depends on the maturity of the person when the person matures. So, you can maybe look at this later and determine what resonates more. But if I look at your D1 Rashi chart, I see some positive things. Right away, I see that you have Moon in the seventh house. It's exalted in the sign of Taurus. So I'm not seeing any affliction there. And then I see that the seventh house ruler is going here into the fifth house. So that's kind of the example I gave earlier, how your future spouse will be connected. It will be like a loving marriage, be a happy marriage. There will be romance. And then Venus also gets exalted right here in the sign of Pisces, in the fifth house. And so that's also very positive. But where you will start to see some affliction is this this Venus Mars conjunction, but it's also called a planetary war. So when two planets get within 1 degree of each other, it's more like a war. It's more of an affliction than a positive thing. One starts to kind of dominate, the energies of one starts to dominate the other. In this case, Mars, which is a natural malefic planet. And so it can take away some of that positive qualities that having an exalted Venus represents. And who you attract to you could be the lines could be blurred with more of a Martian energy. But in terms of, there's another system we use where we just look at the planets and the degree of the planets. And I can turn that on for you. That is.
I just want to jump in. It's like, Anissa,
Okay.
do you understand enough of what like the Martian energy and the Venus energy and all? Like, do you have any questions about what those are?
I was going to watch the recording later and do research.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So when I turn on actually I can do it from here. Maybe not.
And I think everybody is seeing how these charts look so different than the other charts we're used to for Western astrology.
Yeah, they're square. But generally the same. You have the first house here, and then it goes around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So generally the same, just a different shape. But Rahu here, which is similar to the North Node, but it actually has more of a malefic association. And when you said ghosting, I immediately thought of this Rahu down here because Rahu is your Dara Kartika in the Jaimini Kartika system. So there's another way you can look at and analyze a chart in Vedic astrology where you just look at the planets and you look at the degree and you analyze based on the degree of the planets from highest to lowest. So the Dara Karika is where you will get the spouse. It represents the spouse. It's like the seventh house. And then the one with the highest degree is the Atma Kartika. So it represents you, your soul, kind of like the ascendant or the sun. And I just want to show it to you. Oh, here we go. So here you go. You have Sun as the Atma and Rahu as the Dara Karika. So the reason I feel that's relevant, you mentioned ghosting. Well, Rahu represents a shadow planet, and it can create illusion. So Rahu, if you're always going to maybe have that dynamic with people that you attract to you, where there's this sort of confusion. It also represents foreign land, so it could be someone from another country, but when you say like that ghosting kind of confusion, do you like me, do you not? I kind of think of this Dara Karika down here represented by Rahu, where that dynamic may always be present. Because when I look at your chart, and we can just go back to charts, nothing natally or transit wise speaks to this not being a good time. So I think it's more about some of these afflictions with, Rahu kind of representing like the Dara Karika, and then this planetary war that could be affecting some of your interactions with dating prospects. So there is what's called remedies in Vedic astrology. And so when there's an affliction, there's different things you can do, like gemstone therapy, color therapy, mantras. So when you do your research, you can also look into what kind of remedies you'd want to utilize in order to address some of those afflictions. But I would say naturally, natally, you have some positive influence. But you also just going a little off topic, but there's also a planetary war here too between Mercury and Jupiter. And then you also have Saturn sitting like right on your ascendant too. So just I would say later look into that, because although it's not directly related, it can have a dynamic into your personality and your partners. So
Okay. Wow. Lots to learn. Thank you.
no worries.
All right, great. Thank you so much. All right. You stop sharing and we'll have, and they moved it. It's in a new spot. And then Alina.
Alina went.
Oh, Alina went. I'm sorry. I'm like not following everything. All right. Did everybody get a chance to go and share with Anissa? Maybe everyone did. All right, great.
Yeah. Thank you
All
all so
right.
very much.
And let me. Okay, great. All right. Great. Yeah, thank you. That was, I guess, did you have just while we're sharing, are there images that come up for you when you think about your dating stuff?
Oh
I
gosh,
don't know.
I don't even,
It's hard to read oneself. I'm just
yeah, I haven't even focused on myself in that way. I should.
It's okay. Don't worry. No. It's my experience. It's the hardest thing to read ourselves, right? We're attached.
I had the same question.
All right, great. Well, let's see. So we've got someone else in line, and then someone else is wanting to pay. So we've got a couple more here. So the next person asked if I would read off their question. It's fine to mention their name though. So the name is Elaine, and I sent the birth info to Marita. Do you have the birth info? I put it in the chat a while ago. I can go grab it, give it to you again if it's lost all in the chat now.
Oh yeah, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me go get it. It's okay. It's okay. There's the challenge with the chat floating all over the place. Okay, there you go. You should have it now, showing up for you. I think that's everything you need, right? We've got a date and a time and a location. Do you see it at the bottom of the chat?
No, I just go
Okay,
all
let me
the way
just do it
down.
again and let me see if it'll. Okay,
Is
I'm
it-
gonna do it again for you. Is it now showing at the bottom?
See. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. All right, so Elaine's question is, hi everyone. Thanks all for doing this. Yeah, thanks so much, Elaine, for coming. I've had a lot of death in my life, one being my partner in 2020. Since his passing, I've mostly been isolating myself and have distanced myself from a lot of friends. I have realized how much I love my solitude, but I'm not sure if I'm isolating too much. Should I put myself back out in the social dating world or keep working on myself in solitude? And I had Elaine send me a photo. So I see a photo of her eyes too. And yeah, so I guess a few things, maybe let me put my timer on myself. So Elaine, just a few things that come up for me. So my partner had her husband die. And just it's a big deal and it takes a long time. And 2020 is not that long ago. And we've been together 8.5 years and things feel calmer now. But in the beginning, I mean, he's just so present for her. And so I know for me, and we didn't know if we were both ready to date when we first met. And he was probably the biggest reason for her. And I just decided over the years just to include him in our relationship. So he's here too. So that's one way that I've moved forward and had that be really easy and spacious for her. And she didn't know if she was ready, and evidently we were ready. So yeah, just because he's not here doesn't mean he can't be here, right? He's still here with you. So when I look at your eyes, I feel the pain in your eyes. And grieving is sometimes a long, messy process. So it like go through some things and then more things and just more things. And that's what it is. But so when I look at your eyes, a lot of you seems very introverted. It seems that relationships with people matter a lot. You have some traits that can get hurt more easily. You have some traits that have stronger opinions sometimes. You feel feelings and emotions deeply. And when people aren't honoring of you and honoring of your process and honoring of the journey that you're on and all the feelings and emotions that you have, it hurts. And sometimes when there's so much pain with one of these traits, the easier thing is just to close off your heart And so the thing I'm worried about you is that you're going through a closing off of your heart process. So I don't know that you necessarily want to date at the moment. To me, it seems like connecting with some friends that really honor you, and you've been through a big growth process with this. You're in the middle of a big growth process with this, and finding who are your friends that really can see and honor your journey, however long it is taking, however bumpy it is. Reconnecting with them could be good. And if you don't have friends from your history that can do that with you, finding some new friends, and it might be friends that have gone through some similar things, have lost a partner, are so familiar with grief. My partner is an example. There's another practitioner that's been in the community that focuses on grief. There are going to be some circles and some communities where you can be with other people that really understand. So that's where I would start. I would start carefully finding some people that really understand and have spaciousness for you, where you feel met. No one's attempting to crowd your space, and you can explore what it is to be you, connecting with people again. If you have the sense that you might be depressed, which is possible, so really finding some ways to care for that for yourself, because that could be keeping you pulled in and away from people. So looking at what you're eating, looking that you're getting out in the world a little bit in terms of nature and just a little bit of exercise. It doesn't have to be fierce exercise, but particularly being in nature could be helpful, and just to see how you're sleeping. And if when you look out in the world at nature that used to, that's been so meaningful to you, if it feels more gray and drab, that might mean that you're depressed. And then I would work on that you're depressed first. But that's what I have. And in line, it looks like we have Dovelight and then Crystal. Yeah, thanks for your comments in the chat. Thanks for asking a question. All right, Dovelight.
Can you repeat her question once again, just to hear the vibration?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for doing this. I have had a lot of death in my life, one being my partner in 2020. Since his passing, I've mostly been isolating myself and have distanced myself from a lot of friends. I realized how much I love my solitude, but I'm not sure if I'm isolating too much. Should I put myself back out in the social dating world or keep working on myself in solitude?
Thank you so much for honoring your soul. Grieving, it's a delicate topic because there is not really a set rules or structures or timing. It's different for all of us. And to be honest, I truly believe that love is eternal. According to my spiritual belief, when somebody dies and goes to the other side, they somehow lost a little bit of the mundane desires, so they're more into uh, I love that person on earth. Let the person be happy. If she wants to be by herself, if she wants to marry somebody, if she wants to start dating, if she wants to do studies and journaling, as when somebody truly loves you, no matter where is it, they always want to see you happy. They always want to respect what you choose. So never feel any guilt, never feel anything for having sometimes mixed feelings and all that. I cannot tell you do this, do that, because at the end of the day, if you live in your heart, you live in your memory, the more that you love somebody, of course, the more painful it's not having them to get used to it. But I highly recommend to listen to your intuition. You don't have to be in denial that you miss those moments outside, that you miss being with friends, the happiness. Perhaps you will never be the same way as this person, because I truly feel that you have a strong soul connection with these persons. But I do believe that this person from the other side will also recommend for you to do some changes to move the energy, because there might be a possibility that you might realize that isolation can be negative, because sometimes we go too much into the negative thinking, the negative in the past, the negative, and remembering the past is not bad, it's not negative, but sometimes when we go too deep, that we forget that we're still alive, there is still a path for you, and you can take the memories, you can take the love, you can take even the pain with you, walking at your own time. I highly recommend you to please follow your intuition, go with friends, go with events that you like, have balance. You don't have to go hardcore to party or to find a lover or to find somebody to marry. No, just go at your own pace, at your own time. But definitely, if you feel like, no, it is time for me to maybe don't isolate too much now, follow your intuition, follow your heart and your own timing. And thank you for sharing your question.
Thank you so much, Dovelight. My Crystal's next.
For starters, Lorelai, I really liked what you said about including Aylin's former husband in the relationship. That makes a lot of sense. Um, because overall, we have so many different people in our lives, and just because we move from one relationship into another relationship doesn't mean that the person that we're not with anymore doesn't still have significance to us. So I just wanted to honor that and support that. Elaine, I'm really sorry for your loss. Um, what's coming up around this is very deep grief. I almost feel like you're keening or wailing, but a lot of it I feel is coming from your little kids inside, that your husband or partner saw you in a way that you always wanted to be seen. And to have that not be there anymore is a significant loss. Um, and then I feel also that there's some, like, you're kind of torn in a way, like, well, if I start dating again, does that mean I'm just dismissing the whole relationship? Am I being disloyal to this past relationship, to the love that I had for this person? No, no, not at all. Love isn't like a piece of pie that we have to like cut into pieces to share. Love is endless. And we can love people in different ways, and they show up to us in different ways. So if you do decide to step back into the world again and begin to date, um, then I would honor that fact that it will not diminish your former relationship one way, shape, or form. You are still in contact with him. I still feel him holding a loving presence for you. Um, it might be harder for you to hear him because the grief and the loss is there. It almost feels like physical pain. But he is there and he still loves you. Um, in fact, he says when it's time for you to transition, he'll be waiting on the other side. Um, so the vision I'm seeing for you moving forward is to gently move back into the world, not like force yourself, but gently. And like taking a nature stroll might be hard right now. I don't know where you live, but it's kind of chilly and not a whole lot showing right now, but a nature stroll where you just allow yourself to be held by the earth and by nature as you begin to walk along, and kind of just gently observe things like some plants or birds, and just allow that to talk to you. And you might not even have a sense of words or anything, but just the feeling coming through to you that um, you're not lost. You're still connected. There's still life happening around you. Um, and that you can embrace it however you need right now. And that can change. Um, but it's not dishonoring him if you move forward and encounter another person that you wish to be with. I would just be gentle with yourself and not push yourself. Um, and also, if you can, do some inner child work about loss and about that they're believing you'll never be seen the way you were seen again. And so doing some work with that so that they'll be more open as well to allowing new energy to come in for you. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. All right, who wants to share with Elaine? Ayla, go ahead.
So Elaine, I feel like you asking the question, to me kind of gives me the sense like when I heard the question, it kind of had me feel that you're asking because part of you is feeling ready to step out. And for me, I think similar to what a lot of other people have said, I feel like it's a longing for connection in general, at least as a first step, not necessarily romantic connection, even though that can be part of it. And I think similarly to what other people have said, I would take things slowly. And at the same time, I think you can do both. I think you can hold, do your work and hold and take that time and still have that time for yourself while at the same time kind of tiptoeing out there. And, look at the kind of things that are still going on for you. Oftentimes with grief, almost everybody has some level of guilt that's unresolved because everybody always feels like there's something that they could have done or said or something like that. So if that hasn't been fully resolved, that's something that you may want to look at, letting that go and giving yourself permission to move forward. One thing that you can do that's often very helpful for people if you don't have a different way of doing things is to write in a journal to your husband, and then just you can ask any question, and then what I like to say is just let the pen write, and believe it or not, usually that person comes through perfectly. And it's a really great way to communicate, and you can even talk to your husband, about this, about your feelings, about wanting to go out there, about wanting to reconnect. And I believe you'll be able to get a lot of answers that way. Most people, it works. So it's a really great way to keep him in your life, and to keep communicating with him, and at the same time start to make these kind of baby steps out there. And, like I said, I think it's more about connection than romantic connection. However, at the same time, I think you can start to do little things that might move you more toward romantic connection, because there's nothing saying that you couldn't meet someone great. And I think some tiny things you can do just to get a little more brave, a little more courage, is just, smile at someone, give someone a compliment, just do little things. Just start with little things that are going to start to have you feel more little low risk things, because you're also, you're grieving. You don't want to put yourself way out there, but you can start to make little moves that can start getting you out there and connecting with people, while at the same time you're still working on yourself. You're still working through this stuff, and hopefully finding a way to, be in communication and resolve any of the questions you still have out there. So thank you for sharing. I know grief is a very hard thing for anyone to deal with, but the beautiful thing is that there is transformation, and there is, you don't have to lose the closeness with that person. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. All right. Who else is ready to share with Elaine?
I can
Okay,
go.
great. Great. And just one thing I'll say too, just from Rita, when you share, probably don't share her birth information on the screen, since she's more private, so just be prepared to keep it off. Okay, great. Anissa, go ahead.
So I got quite a few images for you. Thank you for asking your question. The first image was a shoe stretcher. Literally, I remember my grandmother having this, where it was a device you put in your shoe and you would twist it to gradually have it grow and grow, or get larger. So you have been stretching yourself and growing and expanding and learning about yourself through your grief. So I just want to recognize that you have really expanded, even if maybe you felt more tight and withdrawn and within, that there has been growth. And then this came up really briefly, so I believe it's in reference to your partner, but I got Gene Simmons' tongue, so kind of like a rocker energy. So I don't know if they were outgoing or maybe musically inclined or kind of had a more outgoing attitude, but I got the Gene Simmons tongue, and that usually means kind of like rock on. Um, and then I also got an image of Batman. So with Batman, that's with the darkness of the night. So you may be feeling that darkness and that heaviness and wanting to be alone and feeling comfortable in the aloneness. But like you mentioned with the question, then there might be that possibility of moving out, moving forward, and socializing. So I would encourage you to find your allies, like Batman had, like his butler, and then also the female character, like the news reporter. No, that was Superman. But just the allies that Batman had, because you're going through a lot of mental gymnastics. Like Batman was very agile physically, so there's a lot of mind games that you're playing, mental gymnastics that you're playing with yourself. So you need to trust yourself on what you're feeling, trusting your gut, your intuition on, if I am ready for this, then I will move forward. There's a thing in psychology about opposite to emotion. So sometimes we get stuck in feeling a certain way, like, oh, I'm really scared to do this. Sometimes doing the opposite thing is the most healthy thing you can do to help you move forward. The next image I got was of a submarine. So there's a lot of heaviness and a lot of pressure on yourself to move forward. So I encourage you to use the periscope to look around to see who is available to be with now. I feel that there's friends who have been waiting, who are out there for you, that to be made connections have. And also use your sonar. Again, using your intuition and gut feelings on people when you are socializing, when you are interacting with people. And those are the images that I got.
Yeah, and Elaine, if you have any questions about those images, if you want us to go any deeper on anything, feel free to let us know in the chat or unmute if you want to. Yeah, those are great, Anissa. All right, cool. Just giving a moment just to see. Okay, great. Yes, says thank you. All right, who else wants to share about Elaine or Elaine?
I can jump in.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share screen.
Oh, wait, don't share screen on this one, I think. I was saying.
Oh, don't share the chart.
I'm thinking, let's see if
Oh.
what Elaine wants. I'm guessing that Elaine might not want that because she wanted
Oh,
something private. So Elaine, let us know.
okay.
It's okay. Okay, go ahead. It's okay.
It's
Great.
okay.
Thanks for letting us know. All right.
Okay. Okay, Elaine, thank you for your question. This is going to be your Vedic birth chart. And I'm not sure if you were on the call earlier, and I was just explaining the difference between the D1 and the D9 chart. So you can come back to this later and you can see what resonates with you more. The D9 represents second half of life. So sometimes when a person is over 36 or 42, depending on like age of maturity, you want to look at D9, or if the person's been married after marriage. But, you know, D1 is always as a default. We always look there. So I can just kind of analyze from here. The first thing, and one thing that will always remain true, are the kartikas. So you can look at the planets based on what degree they are in, from highest to lowest, and they have different significators. And so what I see here first right away, I'm seeing the moon is here in the 12th house in the sign of Scorpio. And so that does create some debilitation. Just because when moon is in Scorpio, it's imbalanced, right? It's too intense. There's too many emotions. And that's just something, that persistent theme that will kind of come up for you throughout life. And so you definitely, because moon is the auspicious planet, it's the most central planet for all charts, for all people. I'm going to recommend remedies for the moon for sure. And then there's another thing that I see, as I mentioned, the kartikas. So I can go there for you.
Well, you're pulling that up when you say remedies. Do you mean like herbal remedies or different
Oh,
food, like
yes.
Ayurveda remedies? Like what kinds of things?
Yeah, so it can be different remedies, but you know, some just off the top, like you want to use Monday. Like for moon, you definitely want to follow the different moon cycles, and you want to kind of tap in more to the different new moon, full moon, and honor those different cycles of the moon to kind of channel more moon energy. You can wear white, especially on Mondays. Monday is the day for the moon. You can also wear like a pearl, like gemstone therapy. So it just depends. There's also mantras. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. And you can kind of test with some remedies are considered more potent. Like herbs are very potent. So you may want to start with something that's not as potent, like color, you know, wearing white, incorporating more white into your lifestyle.
One thing I just want to jump in and clarify. So you're doing a Vedic chart, and she said that probably she's had Western done before, and she said her moon is typically Sagittarius. And so if you
Yes.
could just say something about the differences between the Vedic and the Western, that might be coming up.
Okay, yes. So when you look at Vedic astrology, it's typical for the planets to shift, and that is because they're going to be using different mathematical points for, and I believe, Crystal, you were talking about this earlier, but basically, in Vedic astrology, we're looking at the constellations from the perspective of Earth, and it takes into consideration the tilt that Earth rotates on. That axis tilts ever so slightly over time. And so, with the tilt of that axis, it also shifts our perspective from Earth where the constellations are. And in Western astrology, they're going to be looking at that historic point. So, it stays the same wherever Aries was as a constellation from 2000 plus years ago, that's still where they pull the chart from. So that's why you'll see everything shift by like a sign. It's not quite the whole 30 degrees, but it'll often shift all of the planets and even some ascendants for people by one sign.
And I'll just say, and if she wasn't here in the beginning, you said that you had learned Western first, and when you saw Vedic and you were comparing your two charts to each other, the Vedic made so much more sense to you about your life, and that's why you went the direction of Vedic.
Yes, and there's something we have in common, Elaine. So I'll point that out to you. This is a big part of why I shifted over, which is this Atma Kartika here. So you have Saturn as your Atma Kartika, and I'm not sure how much you know about Saturn, but Saturn is it can have some positive things, but mostly when Saturn is your Atma Kartika, it has the highest degree in your birth chart. It does create a lot of struggle and strife for a person throughout their life. And so, with you mentioning you've dealt with a lot of loss, Saturn is also represented by loss, different setbacks you may have experienced from a young age, a lot of responsibility. And so that's something that was part of your life path. It also represents your soul desire. So, one way that you can also kind of remedy that, the way that you overcome the sorrow, is by helping others overcome their sorrow. And so that's the kind of cool thing about having Saturn as an Atma Kartika. It makes you want to serve. It can become this spiritual kind of placement where you want to help others because you've learned so much through your own life path, through hard knock life. Jupiter's like a guru, like a teacher through lessons, through a classroom type setting or through travel. But Saturn is like you learn the hard way kind of thing. And so you have so much to offer and so much to give to others by way of this placement. And, when we look at your Amatya Kartika, the second highest, that's considered the soul's helper and the path that you can go down in order to satisfy what the soul desire is, the soul desire to serve. And to help others would be through a Mercury kind of pathway. So that can be something in the arts, that can be something in a communication field. It could be through like, for instance, just being like a content creator. It could be anything that's related to Mercury. Mercury is also business and commerce. So that's one thing that I would point out to you as well, where you can start to kind of deal with that consistent theme of loss and sorrow that you are experiencing as a result of having Saturn as an Atma Kartika. So again, definitely really important to do some remedies for Moon. It's debilitated and it's sitting here in the 12th house, which is very, when you said isolate, that's the 12th house. 12th house is isolation. 12th house is places of isolation. Where you're either put there or you self-impose the isolation. It's the house of undoing. And so there might be a natural tendency for that too. And so it's definitely important to do some of those remedies. And Mercury. So Mercury being combust here because it's getting a little too close to the sun. And Mercury is your Amatya Kartika, which is supposed to be like your soul's helper. So it's getting a little bit afflicted. So I would recommend remedies for Mercury as well. So that's just sort of like the quick and dirty of what I'm seeing. And I hope that helps. I know how it can be to have that Saturn influence. So I hope that things can turn around for you. And thank you for your question.
Great. Thanks so much, Marita. All right, practitioners. Who else wants to share? Anyone else? Having trouble tracking tonight somehow. I'm out of practice. All right, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Elaine, for asking a question. All right, we've got the next person up. So, say your name. So, Wendy, did you want to come up on screen with us? Do you want me to read out the question? What would you like? How can we honor you? And yeah, and Wendy says that's cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, Wendy. Yeah. So if you want to come up on screen, just turn on your video and I can bring you up here. We are recording. So just be aware of that. Yeah, Wendy, you unmuted and then you muted again. Because if you want, you can ask your question from the audience, or you can come up on screen, or I can read it. I can read it. Okay, Wendy wants me to read it. All right, great. So Wendy says, I've been dating this person and I'm just curious how compatible we are based on some images that were sent and the birth information. And yeah, so I've got some photos. And then Marita, did you see I know Marita's got all this data flying at her. Okay, you got great. So you've got information. So, and I've got some photos to look at. Okay, so let me time myself. All right, well, let's see. So interestingly, Wendy, your energy in many ways is like a Nissa. So just people have that as like a little bit of a guide. I think that you're creative. You have a lot of different ideas and interests. You're sensitive to energy. Sensual pleasure means a lot to you. So beauty, elegance. And I think that you feel emotions deeply. So the creativity talent, the inspiration talent. The inspiration talent is so big waves of emotion. You see not only what's here, you see what's possible. You like to inspire and motivate people to stretch and reach for that. And I think that because it's your second talent, you turn a lot of it inwards. So you see for yourself, I need to grow, I need to be better, I need to do more. And you can be harder on yourself than you are hard on other people. And you can tend to take a lot on, feel a lot of emotions inside, and not share with everyone all the emotions that you feel because you don't want to burden people. And it looks like those sometimes don't go in the way that you really want. Like some other people don't really, they don't feel like emotionally what's going on, or they don't feel as committed or connected, or they don't realize how and I'm saying people in general, they're just not sensitive to the things you are, and they're bypassing what your needs are and what you really want, and it hurts. And you don't, like, it's painful. You kind of pull back and hold it in a little bit, but then you share in a way that it's like even maybe a little harder for people to hear. And so you're just not getting the connection that you want with some people. And it's like, so to me, the lesson is learning to notice it sooner and honor you and share it sooner and share it with the belief that of course they want to honor you. You know, so you're sharing it like joyously. It's like, oh, you didn't know it was happening for me, and I'll share with you so you know. And I think you'll get met better by people. So the man that you sent me, so I think he also has and I think your third talent is probably knowledge. You love learning, but only if you're interested in it and you believe in it. So I think that he's also got the inspiration talent, which is really good. The only two talents that are about feelings and emotions are love and inspiration. And I think you both have inspiration. He probably also has knowledge, so he's a little bit more in his mind and thoughts than you are. The the bigger difference for me is that he probably has the community talent. So creativity and community are similar. Creativity is the more introverted flavor and community is the more extroverted flavor. You've got a lot of the introverted one where he has less of the extroverted one, but I think that he just has a more extroverted feeling about him. And I think he's relaxation motivation. So I think he's just kind of cool and more easygoing and like he can be connecting in there, but at the same time, he's just kind of playful and a little like his energy just kind of floats around in a way that he's not really as connected to you and he doesn't quite notice what you want. So you have to let him know. And I also wonder that I can't tell if your energy really wants a deeper connection with him right now. It seems like you might like almost distract yourself and not let yourself notice with you that you might want a deeper connection with him at some point, if not now. And I encourage you to keep checking in with you to see what you want. And then he is just so casual and easygoing. I feel so, in general, you seem like a nice connection. You have a lot in common. I just think that his easygoingness, um, I can't tell if he's going to want to actually step in and commit if you want that at some point. So I encourage you to just keep noticing what you want and just kind of play with that and introduce stuff and get him to talk a little about what he wants. And so you see where he wants to go before you get too far in. And it's painful if he doesn't want the same thing. So it looks like there's potential and I see some risks. So I encourage you to connect more with you and gently share more with him too. And share more with everyone in your life sooner. All right, great. Let's see, we've got Dove Light with her hand up.
Yes, I love what you say because every single person in this planet is a possibility. The future is not set up in stone. Sometimes we do have a soul contract, a destiny, but it's about free will of how we choose to work on it, our actions, the effort we want to get. That's key. Nothing is set in stone. Now I'm picking up what I'm telling you. It's a possibility. You still have to choose and continue or not, it's up to you. You are coming with an energy of betrayal. You feel like you've been hurt in past relationship. You expect perhaps somebody to be a provider, to be there for you. And now you're looking something that really is real, like that will become a provider, will become a hardworking person. Because you felt one time in your life when you had that and it betrayed you, or it feels like a betrayal. So still energy is still lingering. And this person energy, it's more like practical, more cold, might not even show his emotions too much. So that's also to take in consideration if you really want somebody to show more emotions, more like sensitivity. He right now doesn't really exactly know what he exactly wants with his life. He's just in the not really moving towards a specific direction regarding the relationships. So bringing the energies together, I believe that it will not the right time as well. But I see that his person is attracted to you. I see that you're very self-confident, like you feel like you can start speaking with this person. He is willing to get to know you. He's willing you to offer something that feels more like a friendship or something like I'm just getting to know you. I don't see drop deeply committedly. If you still guys get closer and closer, the energy is going to be more like a free spirit energy, like, hey, when we can, we talk. If we can do this, we do this. If not, that's fine, kind of. And that's not going to feel committed or grounded. There might be the possibility that through this relationship, if you choose to put effort, you might do, yes, absolutely, like Laura say, reevaluate if that's worth pursuing the effort or not, if this is what you truly want or not. But as of now, I see that on his side, he's not really like moving or show. He does show a little bit of interest, but he's not like in that commitment, just in general. So I believe that will be not the right timing if you want to pursue like a serious relationship with this specific individual. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devlight. All right, Alina is next.
It's an interesting night because I pulled another dreaming Johnny. He seems to be taking the relationship very lighthearted and very easygoing. Again, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And he will go no matter what without looking under his feet. Now, that normally indicates also not the most committed relationship there, but he's also going with the flow. Wherever it is, I'm going and I'm not even looking, okay? But here's the thing. That person seems to be willing to put you on the throne. This is Queen. He wants to lift you up. Whether committed or not, at this particular point, he is willing to let you be the queen, let you be on the pedestal, and also take care of you. This is the kind shepherd. Take care of you as if you are the more vulnerable half in the relationship. While you are on the throne, he will make sure that you are fed and clothed and have the shelter over your head. And at the same time, yeah, he's willing to go wherever relationship takes him at the moment. So it is up to you how you want to approach that, because this sometimes feels a little bit of a pressure when you are on the throne and almost on display like that. But he will also take care that you have everything that you need. It may not be much and it may not be luxurious, but it will be what you need.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, some people are going just a little bit shorter, so we got time for those that need a little bit more time. All right, and we somebody's saying thank you. And then let's see, so does anyone else want to share? And then Marita, whenever you're ready. Got 2 birth charts we're working on this time.
Still pulling those, just one moment.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, anyone else want to share with Wendy? Go ahead, Anissa. Yeah, it looked like you were actively writing the images there.
So Wendy, the first image that I got for you was a mosquito. So this person does do little bites at you that can be annoying at times. Not painful to you, but you can definitely get annoyed by some of the behavior sometimes. Sometimes you just want them to buzz off and give you some space. So you might be relating to that a little bit. The next image was a tower of cards, and it was just kind of showing the first base of the cards tower being made. So it's kind of shaky, and there's still hesitancy to place the next card, to take the next step forward. So it's understandable why you're kind of like, are we compatible? Is this going to move forward or not? Because you have been building, but it's kind of on, it's not like a solid foundation. It's kind of been a little shaky. The next image was of Mickey Mouse. So remember to have childlike wonder and play. I feel that there's been some stiffness, some difficulties in your life recently, and so you need to make sure that you're having time for fun. And the last image that I got was of s'mores. So you definitely are able to come together with this person and create something sweet. You can melt into their arms, and you are able to let yourself your guard down. So savoring those moments of those sweetness as well. And those were the images that I received.
Great, thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, cool. So yeah, Marita, just let us know. We can talk about some other things while if you need a little bit more time. Oh, he loves s'mores. Great analogy for us. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah. So maybe I'll say a little teeny bit more is that so freedom is really important to you. You have the creativity talent, Wendy, and I don't think he has it. And so he has a talent that's about community and communication, and he's mellow. There might be times that he's in the space with you and he's just sort of talking, and it's mellow and it's easy, but he might not like really look at you and notice that you need some space right now and need some alone time. So that's what I was thinking about with the mosquitoes when Anissa was talking. Um, yeah, so just you gotta just let him know what you want because he's not as attuned and not quite as paying attention as sometimes you might want. He seems like generally a really good guy. Or Crystal's got something. Go ahead.
Just echoing pretty much what everybody else has been saying, but the thing that I was noticing was sometimes it feels like you want to be serious about something and he's not getting it. So I think one thing that would be helpful for the relationship is for both of you to like talk about each other's communication styles, because I feel sometimes you're just sort of missing each other. And a lot of times in relationships, we have expectations, and we don't necessarily look at the fact that we have an expectation about something, and then we get frustrated or disappointed when it doesn't pan out the way we had an expectation about it. And so I think communication is so important in that, in those instances, because then if you share, oh, I felt disappointed because I said X and Y, and I wanted you to say ABC, but you didn't. You went WQ, and it just kind of threw me because I felt like you didn't understand how important this was to me or where I was coming from. And he might be experiencing the same thing as well. So just a thing to explore. Be interesting if you guys did the Myers-Briggs personality traits. You might find some interesting information from doing that. You can find it, it's free online, which also will indicate it's 16 different personality types. And it also gives you information about how each one of you moves in the world and how you take in information and then how you would relay that information back out. Because I see that's kind of the main thing. It's like most of the time you're jiving, but there's instances where you're both not speaking the same language, so to speak. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Crystal. All right, Marita.
Okay, yes. I do have some insights. I'll share screen. Okay. So this is the two charts superimposed. So me would represent you in the white, and then he is here in the green. And you can just kind of ignore this. It's just a different style. It's the South Indian style, but It's just kind of the default. But we are gonna look at this format with the North chart. And so in terms of compatibility, the first thing that you would look at are the two moons for Vedic astrology. That's where we start. And, you know, first you'll see that you have Moon in Virgo here in the 11th house. And then you'll see if you go 8 places away, he has Moon here in in your 6th house, so it's superimposed. But you know, you want to look at it like it's 8 places away, so kind of like an 8th house effect. And so that can be really probing, and that can be emotionally very deep. There can be a lot of transformation that takes place. It can also be like a very physical kind of relationship. Um, but it's not necessarily considered the most harmonious. You know, the 8th house in Vedic astrology is called a Dusthana house, or like it has like a negative influence, just because it does represent all those different transformations and some of those things that are that come to us through strife and struggle. So ultimately, transformation is good, but by the means of struggle and strife, it can be very difficult and painful to experience. And so it's kind of creating some of that dynamic in terms of places. And then through sign, you know, you have Virgo and it has Aries. And so that kind of creates some differences as well. You know, for you, how you may have a natural disposition for more organization and the way that you are very orderly. You may value routine, cleanliness, hygiene. You know, you may have a particular way of doing things, and you may show and receive love through like acts of service. And this person would be quite different. You know, Aries would be more represented by somebody that has more of a spontaneous, kind of passionate disposition. So they may show love and give love in very spontaneous ways, in spurts, you know, not sort of like in the orderly way that you would like. And they also would have more want to have more of a leadership role in the relationship, want to have more of that sort of dominant position in the relationship. And so not that that creates any conflict, but just it shows some differences, sort of where this person likes to shine and what feels naturally good for them. And then in terms of compatibility, I would also look at just your chart in general, and like, you know, your 7th house and 5th house, as we were mentioning earlier. So the 7th house doesn't get highlighted in any way. As you can see, like, you don't have any planets there. And then when you do the superimposed chart, nothing lands there between the two of you. So, you know, right away, that can indicate that it's not necessarily like a marriage type of partnership. Not to say that that's what you're looking for, but that's something that's not indicated here. And but then you can see like this 5th house does get highlighted, and yeah, his Saturn and Ketu, which is like South Node, go into your 5th house, and that they're not conjunct more than 10 degrees apart, but they're also both malefic planets, so they're not benefic, they're not naturally positive, if you will. And so it doesn't necessarily create a harmonious effect either. It can create more where you would naturally want to have fun and express creativity or fun and enjoyment. There could be some seriousness, a level of seriousness that gets imposed on that by way of Saturn. And then Ketu is more so like a past life or the past kind of effect. And so there's also just that, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, what just happened? There's also that effect with Ketu being there. So, you know, there's a lot of different things that we could look at. I'll just keep it brief, but I would say just by seeing like the seventh house not getting highlighted, the fifth house getting highlighted, but with those malefics, and then there being some differences with the moon, and the eighth house getting highlighted. I would say that is a more difficult match. So ultimately, I try not to say a yay or nay for things. It's more so just to present you with information so you can make your own decisions. So you kind of know what you are up against. You can make any relationship work. It's just about what are you willing to take on, and what do you feel is, worth the, is the juice worth the squeeze kind of thing, if you will. So I'll leave it at that for now. Hopefully that helps.
Great, great. Thank you so much. And anyone else have something? Crystal, do you have your hand up again to share something else with Wendy? Or is it just up from before? I lost track.
Sorry, that's from before.
Okay, I didn't get it down. Sorry.
Well, but now that you mention it, I do. That mosquito thing, I mean, one mosquito bite, yeah, okay, it's annoying. 17 mosquito bites, you'll be driving up the wall. So as Marita just said, that communication thing is key. And if you're getting more mosquito bites than positive stuff, then that's something to look at, because you can totally get and like somebody and feel close to them. But if there's that constant annoyance, then it starts to rub and wear, and then you get resentments, and it eats away at what you've got. So it keeps coming up for me about communication is key, and that you both have different styles. So just wanted to add that on. Thank you.
Yeah, some more intentionality around that.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned authentic relating games earlier. I think Ayla maybe mentioned them. And so something like authentic relating games would be great for you to play together. Like a really, really basic, simple game is notice experience. And so you start off just noticing something outside of you. So you would notice something. It could be about him or in your environment or just something outside you. And then he shares something and you share and he shares and you go back and forth a little bit. And then you switch to experience. So something you experience inside you. And then he shares something experiences inside him and back and forth. And then make it spontaneous, where you either share something you've noticed outside or something you experience inside, but you each share one. And if you're connecting, your shares will influence each other. So it's a way of getting practice tuning into each other and aiming to get present in the moment so that you don't pre-think what are you going to share with the notice or experience. You're really tuned into your partner and then seeing what arises. So like something like that would be really helpful, I think, for connecting with each other. Yeah, Ayla, go ahead.
So I'm just going to piggyback on that. So there was a game that I came up with before I ever heard of authentic relating, because I just used to do weird stuff. And but I was going on a date and I was meeting someone, and I came up with this. I came up with a bunch of different games, but one of the games I came up with, which I still use to this day, and I've taught to other people. It's a really great game that you can use with just about anyone. And it's really simple. All you do is you sit back to back. And the nice thing about sitting back to back is it makes it a little less vulnerable, easier to ask questions and things like that. So, you could do this with a romantic partner. You could do it with a, parent child could do it. It could be with, anyone could do this. And, best friends, whatever. But basically you sit back to back, and if you're comfortable, you can hold hands. And so you sit back to back holding hands, and then all you do is you just take turns asking a question. Now, the person doesn't have to answer, but they can if they want to. And every time I do it, it's just, when other people have done it, it's just really cool, because just the stuff you feel comfortable asking that you don't feel comfortable asking when you're looking right at that person, it's a very different experience. So that's a fun one. Just thought I'd add.
Yeah, that seems really great. Like feeling the other person, but through our backs, which some of
Yeah.
us aren't very attuned to. And yeah, it's great.
So you're
I can go home and try it. My partner.
yeah. And you're connected, but you're at the same time, you kind of have your own privacy and your own space. So it's kind of a neat dynamic.
Great. All right. So just anything else for Wendy before we finish? All right. Well, let's see. So we're going to get to the point. We're going to close up the panel for tonight. I want to mention the few upcoming events that we have. We have a full weekend on Friday from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. We have our practice circle where you can tap into your intuition, practice gifts that you've been opening to. If you are a professional practitioner, you can practice some new gifts that you're not ready to share with clients. And then on Saturday, we have our online fair. We have a full house. We might have 20 practitioners offering all kinds of different things. We do a free intuitive panel for the first hour, and then there are lots of offerings in breakout rooms. And then this Sunday, we have our business fair. So that's at a different time. That's the online fair on Saturday is 4 to 8 p.m. typical time. And then the online business fair is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it's an easier time for the East Coast. It's not as late. So 10 to 2, you can come get questions answered during the first hour for starting, growing your intuitive business, scaling your business. You're like, you got it, it's running smoothly, and you want to take it really big. It can be about any business where you're interested in integrating and using spirit. And so we've got, I think, about 8 or so practitioners right now. We might get a few more to sign up. So just great to get support in your business. People offer all kinds of great things in breakout rooms too, educational talks and some consulting. And I'm going to put all the practitioners' information in the chat again, and let's go around. And practitioners are going to do now your outro. Introduction of yourself again, and please share your contact info and all that in the recording so that anyone that goes and watches this later knows who you are and how to reach out to you. All right, well, maybe we'll go in a similar order before. I think it was Crystal and then Anissa, maybe Double jumping in whenever you can. Maybe you're no longer babysitting. And yeah, Ayla, Alina, and Marita, go ahead. Crystal.
Okay. I'm Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader, into conscious channel, a medium. I also do energy work. I do a lot of different things. Have over 40 years of experience and a deep background in a lot of different modalities. You can reach me at my website, which is openheartpathllc.com. Or if you want to email me, you can reach me at crystal@iknowstuff.me. I'm transitioning, I'm building a new platform and going to be changing some stuff up. So that's kind of like, I'm kind of have a foot in both camps right now. But if you felt like you got something here this evening and we made a connection, or you want more information, please reach out, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Anissa.
Thank you, everyone. Again, I'm Anissa Jade, and I do intuitive imagery readings and animal communication. I can be reached at my website, which is Anissa Jade, ANISSAJADE.com. That's an easy way to get a hold of me. There's chat functions through there. You can also send me an email, AnissaJadeMeta@gmail.com. I also forgot to mention I'm offering a special. If you sign up for a reading through me, going through the website, until February 12th, I'll do 20% off my intuitive imagery readings. So just wanted to make that announcement as well. Thank you so much for a lovely evening tonight.
Thanks, Anissa. Thank you. Whoever's jumping in next, it's Ayla or Alina or Double or.
Yeah, I'll go. Yes, I started out as a certified crystal healer and then proceeded into reading the astrological oracle, and then into neurographics, and then into horary astrology. So I just kind of blew out of proportion starting from crystals. My contact information is in the chat. My domain name is subtle-matters.net, and that will take you to my tap link that has loads of things and all kinds of way to either find me on social media or sorry, I drew blank. Find me anywhere. Let me put it this way. And my email should be there as well, and it's also in the chat. And I do have a special for the 3 and 12 card readings with a coupon MeWe Fair at 20% off. If you cannot for any reason access it, let me know. I will give you a link and a coupon so you can still take advantage of that. That will take the prices 20% down for both. So I had fun. That was lovely. I have never done that before. So thank you.
Great. And I'm just going to say your website again and spell your website. So it's subtle-matters.net. subtle-matters.net. Great. All right. Maybe Ayla?
Sure. So I'm Ayla, and what I do is called Illuminated Path Tarot. Sometimes I do Oracle as well, but I'm doing tarot much more lately. And what I do most of the time, this is a little bit different what we're doing today, but most of the time what I do is I do a reading. And then from that reading, because every reading, no reading is permanent, that's what it is. So what we do is we take from your reading and we look at, where you might have energy blocks, where we can shift things, where we might want to embrace certain energies. Like I love reverse cards because reverse cards, there's lots of possibility in shifting things. So we do the reading, and then afterwards we do different work, different things around that. A lot of times we'll go into a deep sort of meditative visualization, it's sort of meditation slash visualization slash hypnosis kind of thing. But basically it's deep work. So we do deep work. And today I'm offering 50% off. It's for a 40-minute session, which includes the reading and the transformative deep dive. And you can reach me at 541-525-9065 or Ayla Moon 1111 at gmail.com. So it's just Ayla Moon and then 1111 at gmail.com. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me, Lorelei. This was wonderful. And I appreciate everyone's courage and vulnerability to share their questions. And I appreciate everyone's talents on this, on with us. I learned a lot from everyone. So thank you.
It's great. Yeah, we learn a lot from each other. It's a really great experience to do this. So we've got Devlight and Marita, whoever wants to go next. Great, Devlight's here.
Thank you everybody for coming. I'm Dufflight from DufflightOracle.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Google share like at DufflightOracle. And I'm very grateful to be here. I just feel like in these times of Valentine's and friendship and coming up together, I feel it's good to have the balance. Go out with your friends, do something that you love. I don't know, spend time with doing affirmations in the mirror if they work for you. I mean, there is so many ways of love. There is so many ways of expression. We can just not determine one is the way. The romance is one way, specific. We are so unique. And yes, I do intuitive readings. I do shamanic work. I do many things, but in reality, it's my readings comes from listening to your voice because it's the connection to your soul, which the non-physical. And I get surprised because within the tarot readings, we can find about past life, ancestral work, people from the other side, this and that, insights. It is a lot of prayer work that I do. That's the way I feel more comfortable. And I'm just a regular person, so I also need to listen to the divine and do need to also honor the sacred space while I'm with you. So I get to learn a lot and to bring a lot of insight, not only as you, but as me as well. And I'm just very grateful to be here. Thank you, Laura, for offering the space through the panels. And thank you, everybody, once again, for asking your questions. And I do really love listening to everybody's too, because we are so diverse. Like, you can get so much wisdom. So thank you.
Thank you, Devlight. Thank you for prompting us to have some panels again. And Marita, who joined us for the first time, is great leap in.
Yes, it's been a wonderful experience. Again, I just want to echo what everyone else has been saying. Thank you for your vulnerability. And also, Lorelei, thank you for having me. I can be reached at indigooracle.com or hello@indigooracle.com for emails. And my event special is the MeWe Panel 25 code. So I'll give 25% off until the end of the month, just because my availability will be pretty limited. I would just say check out the events page on my website because there's a lot of stuff coming up that may be of interest. So thank you again. I think that covers it for the outro. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm Lorelei Shmail. I'm an intuitive eye reader and matchmaker. You can find out more about my eye readings at intuitiveeyereading.com. There's a page on that website that's just for matchmaking, and you can also find that at matchmakingsoulmates.com. You can find out all about our MeWe events at mewefairs.com. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. We're excited to be with you in person in Washington and Oregon and online throughout the universe. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It was lovely to be together on a panel again. We've got another panel coming up next Thursday, and that'll be about intimate relationship. So thanks so much for joining us and exploring with us and asking questions. And thanks all of you panelists for being here. This is how all of us together that we're able to do this. All right.